One, two, 1, 2, need my attitude. 3, 4, 3, 4, check my latitude. Ooh, I like that. Ooh, I like that.
Hello, happy Wednesday. Bright and early. Not really, it's 9 o'clock. Maybe it's bright and early for California if anybody's watching us, but I can't say 9 o'clock is bright and early, can I?
You know what? Honestly, you and I are lucky if we're up by between 8 and 8:30. Like, so it is bright and early.
I want to clarify. Usually I'm awake, but I'm not online. Like, I don't do that.
Definitely not wanting to function with the public at 9 a.m. No.
It's one of the reasons I work from home, right? Is so I don't have to function with the public.
Which is a perfect lead into managing your expectations.
Oh, yes.
Function when you want to function.
Yes. And in actuality, like, I've had a lot of conversations about this recently in the last few months with a lot of people. And the first expectation I want to talk about a little bit is the expectation of time and how other people give you those expectations of time. And it's come up a lot because in a good way, and I'll give an example of something that happened last night, but in a good way, we've expanded our circle. And we have people from Europe and we have people from Australia and all around the globe. And sometimes time frames within that kind of are funky. So last night I'm home alone by myself, Brittany, minding my own business. And this is probably TMI, but it matters in the story. I am going to the bathroom. Okay. Sitting in there, minding my own business, home alone when I hear voices. Okay. I should not be hearing voices. Home alone, right? So at first I'm like, oh, well, you know how like you just pause the TV and sometimes it unpauses and because it like whatever. And I thought the TV was talking.
Yeah, but I know exactly what happened.
I did
I've
not.
had that happen to me too.
Brittany knows what's happening. And so I flush the toilet, I walk out, the TV is not on. Now I could still hear the voices. But the best part about it was at this point I hear Sarah. I had left my computer on, right? And somebody had come into the Go Brunch room and I was still in there. So they thought I was in there. No big deal, right? The voices, they were talking with somebody else in their own house, but that's what I heard, like a banter. But then they noticed I was in the room and they thought I was in the room. So they're trying to get my attention. I, like, for a 3-minute period between it wasn't the TV and voices, though, I was like, is this the ghost? Is this the mind going? Is this? But the point is that the expectation wasn't that I should be online, right? I came down, talked to the person. I was like, hey, I forgot to turn off my computer. I'll just say goodbye, do your thing. It was fine. But that person didn't have expectations of me being online. They just saw me there, right?
Yeah.
But I want to now go into those people that are expecting us to be everywhere 24 hours a day. What's that movie, Everywhere All the Time, something? And it's like, oh my gosh, right? Like, I can't do it.
Yeah, and I think I really have had that reckoning where we have an amazing room for people to co-work.
Yeah.
And we have a space where people can come in and they can do their work. And Sarah is great at this. Sarah can have a conversation and she can do like 20 different task things. I cannot. I am a hyper-focused kind of person, and if
I'm talking. If I'm working, I'm working.
Yeah,
right.
If I cannot like get into what I'm doing, then it doesn't exist. And if I need to focus on somebody, then that's where my focus is. And so it's a very difficult thing for me. But, I mean, I can do small things and talk, but guys, I never do anything small, so it doesn't work. Everything I do, my expectations are greater than they need to be. So with the room, I have to actually start to pull out and not be there all the time, because for me to accomplish my work, I can't always be present. So I can give 2 days a week where I'm like, okay, guys, I'll give you these 2 days, but then the other days I have to be in my space.
But I have to ask though, so is that an expectation you're putting on yourself, or do you feel like that's an expectation people in our community are giving you?
I feel like that was a expectation that I had put on the room of, we're going to be here to co-work, and in order for us to be here to co-work, I have to be the hostess with the most,
Oh,
right?
have we
If
changed that mentality though?
I'm trying.
Okay.
And it really helped with you too, because you were like, "Hey, Brittany, like, it's a co-working space."
Mhm.
And you were like, "Okay, we can be there, 2 days a week, but also managing, we run meetings on these 2 days. We do these things." So it is a space where people can populate. And the idea is that, yeah, we have enough people who are in there, and it is a 24-hour co-working space, and people are working with each other, but it does not have to be 24 hours, Brittany or Sarah or Terry or, anybody else who's there. It's just a matter of these are people. And one of the great things that I've learned is, like, if I don't go into the co-working space, I go into my office. So I'm still clocked in, I'm still working, right? It's just a quiet room that I sit in. And if somebody needs to message me inside of the spaces, they can. So that's one of those things that's really, I've had to
Well,
adjust that requirement for myself.
and before we got on here, we talked about like these weird little quotes I've been writing, right? And I put them over on Substack, and shameless plug, go follow me on Substack. But one of them was, today is a good day to start building a life that works for you instead of one that impresses others. Right.
Mhm.
And in today's world of social media, and my God, I could say today's world, but it's been a solid 20 years plus, right? That people have been comparing themselves to these fake lives that everybody else seems to have, right? Um, but I think we need to talk about, as an entrepreneur, there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there are truly faking it till they make it. And when they're putting themselves out there, like, this is all, I'm successful, I'm doing these 10 steps, and you can be successful too if you follow those. It doesn't work for everybody, and we have to build something that works for us, right? So if that means, my time blocks, I have been very, very good with my time blocks. I work on homework at this time. I work on, and at stop, it's not homework. I work on my dissertation at this time. And I do, I work for a nonprofit. I have blocks for that. I do my own business. I have blocks for that. And I'm pretty good at it, but I'm doing it because I'm not trying to impress others. Does that make sense? And I know you're not necessarily doing that either. That's not what I'm saying. But I think a lot of people go into it and they're like, oh, well, Sarah and Brittany are always online and their business is thriving and it's like, not really. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are a lot of hats we wear and a lot of balls that are in the air. And there's a lot of successes that happen regularly in our lives, but we're not multimillionaires with our entrepreneurial efforts yet. Yet, I say yet, right? So what
And
are your thoughts on that?
when I think it goes to, so when you were talking about, oh, do these 10 steps, oh, we'll make you 6 figures, oh,
Oh,
well,
sure.
this, oh, well, that, right? Those systems may be working for those people. And they might
And
not. They
not.
might just sound flashy, and
Mhm.
people just gravitate to flashy. They might have the right sales funnel. And we talk about this a lot because you guys, we just got done talking about how I get sick from sales. Like, it's rough for me. So these are people who are like, oh, let me give you all the buzzwords and let me take your money. I just got done talking to somebody yesterday who was in a networking group a few years ago that had 360 people in it. They were paying a pretty penny to be a part of this group. And 3 years later, that group is down to 180 because what they're selling did
80?
not, yeah. So what they're selling didn't hold and over, go over for the next 3 or 4 years. It's very important to understand where you're at, and we're talking about that managing of who you are in your business, because if you're a six-figure business and you don't have residual income involved in that, the amount of hours it takes to be a six-figure business owner and the amount of work. I know we froze somewhere. Did I freeze or did you freeze?
No,
Okay.
I'm here.
Oh, there we
I don't
go.
think we froze.
Well, you were in the same position, and I don't know if it. I don't know what happened. Don't ask me. But
I'll move more.
thank you. I do though. No, but where you're at, right? Where you're at, Sarah right now is working on her dissertation. Sarah right now is working with a nonprofit, right? I personally just got a new nighttime job because of stability and mental health. Make sure that that's my mental health tip right there, Sarah.
She's being also. She told me to move more, so I'm moving more.
Look,
Sorry,
this is our
I'm
mental
being
health.
stupid. Okay,
But
sorry. Go on. Be serious.
be serious. We don't know how. Okay, but the truth of the matter is that expectation, bringing that train of thought back,
Yes.
is those people have buzzwords. They're going to sell you those buzzwords. Sometimes it's going to work and sometimes it's not. It's the dedication and the time you have to put in. To be a
Mhm.
six-figure business, that's a lot of time unless you've created a very good residual income that is groups, that's less time, that is something different than one-on-one services. And Sarah and I have a lot of one-on-one services. So that residual, not as great as you think.
Yes. And even when you create certain things for residual income, I'm going to take 2 steps back. You're never going to be a six-figure company overnight. I don't care who promises you what. Okay. It takes a solid 3 to 6 months for any sales funnel to truly function. Okay. Because buying lists never work. If somebody tells you to buy a list, don't do it. It never works. But it takes 3 to 6 months for any funnel to truly function. And you have to understand that. And if your marketing person says anything different than that, find a new one. And we have a couple we can refer you to. Okay. That will give you a realistic point of view. Now, though, back to that residual income. Residual income can be any small thing that you just kind of leave over here and it gives you income. It can be downloaded PDFs, right? Things you created for informational that you throw out on Amazon and people pay $5 a pop for, right? You're only making $1 on each of them, but it's $1 you didn't have before and you don't have to do anything, right? And I'm going to use my coloring books as that example. Until I start using my coloring books in a more mass way, which is my plan, they're sitting out there and I make like $12 a month. So I get a Starbucks once a month off of the sales of my coloring books, okay? But it's $12 a month I didn't have before, and eventually that will grow, right? But when people say that all of these things will be 6 figures overnight, it's not happening, right? And I'll use Forrest as an example. Forrest has, and hopefully he watches this and throws his links in there, but he has a few things that you can buy, a book, a couple of downloads, some things that you can get that are more residual income for him, right? He uses them in all of his trainings, but you can also get some of those things for a small amount of money. I want to say one's like $10. I can't remember how much his book is. It's on Amazon, or it's on his website. Let's go with that, because I can't guarantee it's on Amazon. But he's not rich and famous off of these downloads. He's going to be rich and famous off of his trainings.
Yeah,
right.
And the courses.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, the courses, the trainings, those like the actual educational component, right? Very few people get to be millionaires or even six-figure incomes off of the books they write for, self-help or growth, which is what I would put, changing your mindset around money books would be put into. So I don't really know where I was going with this, other than these are external expectations that people put on us. And you need to find the people that are going to give you the truth, not the people that are just going to take your money.
And also the people who are going to sit in the truth with you.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of people who have an expectation of, oh, well, you have a business and you make millions. You say that all the time, right? You
Right.
have a business and you make millions. And then when they're sitting with you and they're like, well, why aren't we eating steak tonight? Because I got top ramen, bro. Because I got top ramen. Do you want my ramen or not?
Right.
And there comes there comes that space where I've definitely had my focus in too many directions. And so where I feel my business should be isn't, because what I know I should have put into it, I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so where I am is, you know what, I'm where I am today. And it's not where my expectations were, but it's also not a failure of where I can't be. It's just a matter of figuring out, and you hate it when I say that, but doing the actions to get where I want to be, but also doing it in a way that does not overwhelm and stress me out. And I think there's a lot of times where we're stuck in that space.
I agree. Yeah. I think part of it is we are all stuck somewhere and we're not asking the advice from the right people. And hear me out. I actually wrote a blog about this week, about so many people, and we kind of do it sometimes, but the best part about having this type of co-working is we have people from kind of every walk of life. So let me explain. We're asking people, the wrong people, for advice. Okay. So if you're trying to build a company and you're asking somebody who's never even tried to build a company, right? You're sitting in the house and you're talking to your family at Thanksgiving, and your third cousin is like giving you all this advice, who's never done anything but work at Burger King. And no diss on Burger King, but you get my point, right? They've never tried to start a business. They've never failed at a business, right? Like, I'm good with people who failed at it, because you at least can learn something from that, right? And we're asking people from the wrong advice. And so the other day, it really, really, really hit me. I was in a room, and I'm gonna call her out here in a second in a good way. I was in a room and I was like, it was just after I had posted on Substack about how sometimes I feel like I'm super, super smart because I am writing my dissertation, and then other times I'm reading my dissertation, I find 82 spelling errors in the last thing I wrote, and I wonder if this is for me, right? Like, should I be doing this? Obviously, if I can't spell, should I be a doctor? And Donna the astronomer was in the room, right? And not that I forget she's a doctor, because I'm not an idiot, but I never think, like, who's the doctors in my life that have went through the dissertation process, right? So she was like, Sarah, anytime, the literature review is the worst part to do. If you want me to read it, trust me, it could be no more boring than mine was, right? So I laughed at that. It was a good feeling. I was like, oh yeah, I need to find the people that have went through or are going through the same thing I'm going through, right? So if you're building a business, find people that have done it. If you're trying to do a new marketing plan, find someone who has done a similar plan or any plan. Don't ask people that are in a completely different path than you, right? You don't ask a tech startup if you're a coach, right? You find another coach who has done a marketing plan that's looked successful, and you can find out if it was successful. But a tech startup has done different things than you need. It's finding that niche and finding people within your niche that are successful in that. Am I making sense at all?
Yes. And I think that's what makes our room so unique is that we do bring together so many different people who are able to say, yeah, I tried that and it didn't work for me, or yeah, I tried that and it did work. But also, Forrest is a video guru, right? Like
Oh, 100%.
he posts videos, he sends us links to like, hey, I saw this dude and how he's successful on videos. I'm going to go ahead and go and try this. And when you're doing that research for your business and when you're doing those things to really grow and then help those around you, I think that's phenomenal. And as business owners, yeah, we have different, Forrest is in the industry of financial, Terry is travel, we've got Shackley with Furna, we've got, Donna the astronomer who is she has an amazing space in Australia where they have it's just it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
So to be and even Dom with, drones, him and Steve were in the room the other day talking about marketing and stuff. So you get to hear and pick and choose, and then you get to see what works for you. But having other business owners around really helps. And when you can see, like you said, hey, I like this coach. Chase was on the show, my not Rolodex, Skyline Circle the other day, and he's like my I want to be him accountability person, right? So find those people and talk to them and become friends with them and really share your experiences because that's what being a business owner is about. I think so many people
Mhm.
try to do it on their own, and that's where that's really where I come in, because if you're doing it on your own, you're just sitting in your head with expectations that lead to consistent disappointment and task lists that
Yes.
never end and not focusing on where you're at. So I think that's big.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. And there's so many cliches around this, find your tribe, find your circle, find your I don't care, your group of humans or dogs, if you can talk to them like Dr. Doolittle, that's a good option too. But find your group of humans that actually want to help you succeed, but also have the experience to do that too, right?
I think
Like,
that leads into the other conversation we've had this week of networking. We have come to a rut of networking, and we've been kind of touching base with that,
oh,
where we figured out that we want networking to be business centric. And by that, it would be we do accountability networking where we talk about business, we talk about what are we doing, but we also talk about like, here's your taglines or here's these things. And we work as a team to grow and learn and really bring different experiences to the table. And that's how we want to network. Because as we're doing that, we get to know people. We want to network by people coming into the co working space and having conversations about any and everything. And I literally mean we've had conversations about any and everything. So when you can create a space where people can come and be a business owner and be vulnerable in that business ownership, is that sure?
yeah.
When you can have that space, that's where we want to be. We've figured out that networking inside of sales pitches and networking inside of you have to stay stringent to our rules has not really been beneficial, as well as just networking with business owners is not beneficial. especially in your case, Sarah, HR and leadership, like the people who are actually running HR and leadership are the management departments, right?
Yeah.
They're the CEOs, they're the people who are the front lines of the business. So if we're actually just reaching out to business owners, that's not as beneficial. But if we're reaching out to people who are in business and want to grow business in any aspect of what that looks like, from any department of what that looks like, that's what we want to open our circle to. We want to be a business centric group that is very front facing with business first, and whatever your title is not what is important to us. MLMs, we have the DMS collective that Terry runs because we honor an MLM as a business. They're running two businesses and
100%.
nobody's giving them the credit for that. If you are, like I said, a manager, managers run the place. They run the store. They are the feet on the ground. And so we want those people to network with us. We want those people to be in conversation with us because that is where the programs are going to work. That's where
Well,
the conversation is going to grow.
and this is where using MLMs and then even the managers and things at different companies as that example is why we are considering and having these conversations about the when we should have networking, right? So if you are a manager of any company, Widget 101, okay, you are not networking online the same way that the rest of us are networking online that are startups and working from home and things like that. Because yeah, you get there at 8, you have a break at 10, you have lunch at noon, you have a break at 2:30, you go home at 5, right?
I love how you think that's how it works.
Okay. No, I'm saying like a office job, not a yeah. So customer service is a little bit different, right? If you're working in a restaurant or a true customer service role, sure, it's a little bit different than that, right? But there's still a concept that you're not sitting on a computer. You log in, you have a break, you have a lunch, you have a break, you go home. There's no sitting on a computer, right? And if there is computer time, it's scheduling and things like that. You're not doing this type of thing. And so knowing that, we're starting to consider what would a lunch and learn look like? What would a Saturday morning or a Thursday evening look like for this type of networking? Would it allow some people that wouldn't normally do networking be able to participate and get connections to either new opportunities or new ways to do things at their own jobs? We're still in the discussion route.
Yeah.
So,
No, I think and that's what happens when you put people in a room who want to do better, be better, and go off the beaten path.
well, look at that. Look at that. All right. So we are at 28 minutes. We normally try to get these to 30 minutes. So Brittany, why don't you tell people what Keystone is? Because you know what, we've talked a little bit about it, about, the rooms and the people and stuff, but what is Keystone Network all about?
I'm really excited because the Keystone Network, like I said, is business centric. It is a place where people who are inside of business can come and communicate. We have created a virtual online skyscraper where people have their smaller offices that are more unique and personable to themselves when they're working with themselves or having a one-on-one, all the way to conference rooms that can fit anywhere from 10 to 500 people. We are working on what does it look like to do some webinars. That's a little bit down the road, but inside of the Keystone Network, we have this online community where you can go straight to the lobby and find people around and ask for feedback on what you're working on or troubleshoot things because you have a live audience. And I want to say that we're captivating and captivated. But you do have a space where you can work with people who are going to give you advice, going to give you what you ask for. If you ask a question, they're going to give you the answer. And sometimes it's not the answer you wanted. But it is a space of really being able to be that business centric area. And so we have wonderful shows like this where Sarah and I go live with business. We have shows where we highlight other businesses. And we're working on my secret project, which once I figure out my stuff, we'll have that one going. I'm excited for that one. So keep an eye on us, guys, because we're going to change. We're going to build a space that is going to change the outlook of what is typical networking. And
I agree. And if you want to be involved with some of this, obviously we want you to get your own room and come figure out what Go Brunch and the Keystone Network is all about. But in the meantime, if you don't know how to find it, we'll throw it in some of these links, but reach out to one of us and we will send you the calendar link, our Luma link, so that you can see all the things that we have going throughout the week. And I haven't actually talked to Brittany about this, but I talked to somebody yesterday and I want to kind of add some things to that. And I think it'll be some fun ways to get to know some of the other people in our skyscraper. But find that link, join us even for just a co-working time to see what it's all about. And then kind of make your decision from there. All right, Brittany, we're going to say goodbye. It takes a second for this end stream thing. It's very funny to me.
1 2 1 2, need my attitude. 3 4 3 4, check my latitude.